Welcome to MojoPlays. Today, we're looking at every Fallout game ranked. But before we do, if you're a fan of Fallout, this loot crate's for you. Although your crate will be different than the one shown, it may contain items such as limited edition figurines, apparel, enamel pins, and more. War never changes, but Loot Crate has new featured crates each month. Use promo code WATCHMOJO and receive 15% off your purchase with the link in the description. Now pop open a Nuka-Cola and enjoy the video. Number 9. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel.
Back in line, slaves. I can't sell you if you're dead, but I'll shoot you in the back if you try to run.
The franchise's first foray into the 3D era is better left forgotten. Released on the PS2 and the original Xbox, Brotherhood of Steel hardly keeps a thing that actually makes the two classic RPGs so good. It was watered down into an action-based adventure with mostly hack-and-slash gameplay, though it was still played from a top-down perspective reminiscent of the old isometrics. Players took on the role of a new recruit of the Brotherhood of Steel, but what followed was an incredibly bland and linear story. And linear is one of the worst things a Fallout game can be. Rather than tackle deep and interesting themes, Brotherhood of Steel simply swears at you any chance it gets to trick you into thinking it's mature.
Come back when you've cleaned out all the rad scorpions.
Number 8. Fallout Shelter. At E3 2015, Todd Howard dropped a bombshell. Not only was Fallout 4 going to release in just a few months, but a mobile game, Fallout Shelter, had just launched on the App Store. This charming game lets you become the overseer of your own vault, and it's up to you to keep humanity alive in the increasingly hostile wasteland. For what it is, Fallout Shelter is great. It knows exactly what it needs to be, and it's even received plenty of content updates since its release. It does have a few microtransactions, but this is easily forgivable with the addition of new mechanics and even quests. Constructing your vault can be a project that lasts for years. Number 7. Fallout 76.
Welcome to Survivor Stories. I'm Dasa Ben-Ami, a responder.
An online Fallout was something that had been toyed with for a long time, but at launch, Fallout 76 failed on every level. There were no human NPCs, almost no story, and it was full of glitches that made it totally unplayable. And worse, unlike Bethesda's other notoriously buggy games, because 76 was online, it couldn't be fixed by modders. The only thing saving Fallout 76 from being the absolute worst Fallout game is that Bethesda has stuck with it in the years since its release, including finally bringing humans and actual quests to the game. It's still not as good as any of the single-player RPGs, but as an online game, it's not so bad anymore. Number 6. Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel.
War never changes.
A Fallout RTS game is an interesting idea, and it would be easy to write off Tactics on the assumption that it just wouldn't work. But actually, Fallout Tactics is both a great RTS game and a great Fallout game. Once again, the focus is on the Brotherhood, but their militarism and access to advanced technology make them the perfect faction for RTS. But you're not playing as either the West Coast or the East Coast Brotherhood. It's an entirely new and less xenophobic faction that genuinely wants to protect wastelanders and stabilize the ruins of Chicago. With a long and interesting story and a wealth of new game mechanics, Tactics is an overlooked gem. Number 5. Fallout 4. 7 years after the last mainline Fallout from Bethesda Game Studios, and the series came back with a vengeance, though it couldn't quite measure up to most of its predecessors. It had just as many hilarious and engaging side missions, but yet again suffered from a main story you'd rather ignore about synths taking control of the Commonwealth. Worst of all was the incredibly oversimplified dialogue system where you just didn't know what your character, now fully voiced, was actually going to say. This was such a misstep, it was rolled back in 76. But Fallout 4 did drastically overhaul the combat, providing the most fun and exciting gameplay the series has yet seen. Number 4. Fallout 3.
I'd imagine it's quite dangerous. I'd be careful if I was you.
This was the game that truly made Fallout 3D, translating the original game's mechanics, like the VATS and leveling system, for a new generation. Fallout 3 has some issues, namely its non-stop crashes and lack of iron sights, but it was good enough to turn an entirely new set of players onto the franchise, players who have stuck with Fallout ever since. The lone wanderer is cast out of their isolationist Vault 101 to search for their missing father, and eventually finds themselves caught in a far larger conflict between the two powerful factions with advanced technology. The fact that the Enclave and the Brotherhood are both fighting for a water purifier means you really feel like you're giving hope to the capital wasteland, or perhaps you're taking it away, depending on your choices.
I won't forget what you've done here. No one will. Thank you.
Number 3. Fallout.
We've got a problem. A big one.
The game that started it all, the original Fallout, still holds up today. Its UI design might be outdated, but once you make your character and get to grips with how to play, you're in for one of the best RPGs of all time. Playing as the Vault Dweller, you've got a very simple mission. Leave the vault in order to find a replacement water chip, or everybody in there will die. This simple quest will take you across the American Southwest, meeting all kinds of people who will remain staples of the Fallout universe forevermore, including the Brotherhood of Steel and the Super Mutants. Number 2. Fallout 2.
The old discs speak of an item called the Garden of Eden Creation Kit. It is said it can bring life to the wasteland.
The original game struck gold, and the sequel kept going to even greater effect. With the Master's super mutant army gone, it was time for a new faction to rise up on the West Coast, the Enclave. This was their first appearance, introducing them as a group made up of the former United States government, now intent on rebuilding America by force. This time, you're the chosen one on a hunt for a Gek to help you save your home, Arroyo, from a dangerous drought. Though Fallout 2 didn't improve or even particularly change much from its predecessor, its story was even better, and it added things to the Fallout lore you still see in the more recent games.
Find the Gek. Be our salvation.
Number 1. Fallout New Vegas.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
With the Fallout IP in the hands of Obsidian, a studio made up of many of Black Isle's ex-developers who worked on the first two Fallouts, the series reached its all-time high. New Vegas took players to the ruins of Vegas itself after getting shot in the face during a routine package delivery. Mr. House, the NCR, and Kaiser's Legion all want control of the city, and many more factions are closely involved in this conflict. With difficult moral choices and no easy answers, it's entirely down to you to decide who should have Hoover Dam at the end. It's nothing short of a miracle that Obsidian made the game in just 18 months. And New Vegas isn't just the best Fallout game, it's one of the best RPGs ever made.
Anyway, it's a right peaceful town, and I reckon it's as fine a place to settle as any.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.